is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 141. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him E, a.k.a. Lee James, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew Easy, a.k.a. Eastradamus, a.k.a. Pat E. O'Daniel, a.k.a. The Fashionista, a.k.a. Chili Willy, a.k.a. Joey Chestnut, a.k.a. Eon Stonkel. E, sitting here midweek, Austin, Texas. It's a rivalry week, baby. How you feeling?
I'm juiced up, man. I am geared up. We got Frisco, and then we got the Orange team back-to-back here. So I don't know how you can't be excited, how you can't have the blood pumping right now. I'm ready, man. My brother texted me today. He was like, "Oh, big game tonight." I was like, "Oh, Knicks Pacers." I was like, game 2. I guess it's a pretty big game. He's like, "Nah, Austin, Dallas." And I was like, "Oh shit, you're even so excited about it. You've got the date wrong." But we'll be clashing with them on Saturday. I told him, and he's going to be watching from afar. So that always makes me feel good to know that my brother Debo's, following along with us from up there in New York. So that got me extra amped, and I'm just ready to dive into it. And got to chat about this club, man.
Yeah, man. Shout out, Dalt. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
And man, you said that Orange team. How about this for you?
DEE-TROIT!
One more time for good measure, E.
DEE-TROIT!
Open Cup last night. Detroit City FC taking down the Houston Dynamo. The reigning Open Cup champs bow out in their first match. Played all their starters, various levels of minutes. I think Ache was out there like 60 or something. But, we're talking Austin, but never going to miss an opportunity to shit on those fucks because fuck them. We'll have more Houston talk on Sunday's episode, but I just one more time.
DEE-TROIT!
Man, they were feeling good a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, they were feeling spicy.
They were feeling really, really good. I don't know how they're feeling now, but probably not that good.
Yeah. I had to do the Detroit drop because I didn't have the time today to go back through the Twitters and find all of the fucking tweets from their 8 fans about when we lost to San Antonio. Well, now you lost to fucking Detroit. So now we're both terrible. All right.
You'll find some time.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and get into the episode. We're going to preview this Saturday's match on the road against FC Dallas. Big match for the best keeper in the world here tonight on Wednesday. Preview, or we'll get into last business day, of course, and then close it out with the nonsense. Some Austin FC news sprinkled in there in between. But before we jump into the preview and the rest of the episode, just want to remind everybody, if you've got 5 extra seconds and you haven't yet, rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. It helps us grow the podcast. You can also hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, on this episode, hit that thumbs up, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, atone for your sins, wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End, which you can also do by leaving a comment and joining in on the discussion. Any and all of that you would do for us, we would love you for it. Second time we will be seeing this FC Dallas team this season. Obviously, we had a good time the first go around at Q2 Stadium this year. 2-1 victory in that game. Of course, that was the first game that we saw 90 minutes out of Seba. And I guess before I get ahead of myself, that win did bring us to a record of 3 wins, 5 losses, and 2 draws against Frisco in all competitions. Of course, that's including the MLS playoffs. FC Dallas has not beaten an 11-man Austin FC side since October 30th, 2021. So that is where they got their 3 victories in this head-to-head series against a full-strength Austin team. So if we are not down a man or an expansion team, Dallas is winless against us. And that's how I'm manipulating those stats to say fuck Dallas for the first time, I'm sure, of many on this episode. Anything for you on that or that first match that we saw. Again, they were a beat up team, right? Injury riddled start for them, but like we were also without a victory on the season. So anything for you before we move on to Saturday?
This is a team that we definitely have some respect for. Their organization for sure. And like you said, they had a tumultuous start to this season, a lot of injuries, obviously no Jesus there and for a while. And, he's coming back into form now. And you look at this club and it's just hard to figure out what they do really well right now outside of be uber athletic and stout defensively. On the offensive side of the ball, I don't know how this Pedar Musa and Ferreira combination is working out right now. It seems like they still need a little bit more time to get this thing kind of rolling, get those wheels greased and be at the maximum potential that they have. But it's just a confusing team right now. You look at that last matchup and they got on the board first, but a game that we really outplayed them. Like we were just a better team. Absolutely. And the score eventually reflected that. And, that was right at a time when we were getting healthy as well, getting some guys back, getting into this form that we see this club, Austin FC, being in now. So I'm looking forward to this game. It's going to be interesting from my perspective.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think from the Austin side, that match was probably the second most complete to date of the season that we've seen. Obviously behind the Galaxy shutout at home. I think that's probably pole position for most fans.
Yeah.
When you mentioned Dallas, like it's kind of, I'm surprised how bad they've actually been, even with the injuries that they've taken on. Because I think I viewed them coming into the season in a better position than Austin FC was, but similar in the fact that the spine of their team was still there, right? You've got Ferrer and you've got Paz and Tafari and you've got Paul Arriola, for whatever you think about him, maybe less than the general consensus, still a guy who's been there, a veteran, an experienced player in this league. And then you bring in a guy like Musa. You've got a guy like Ilara Mendy who arrived mid-season in 2023.
Yep.
But after that season opening win against San Jose, they've earned just 5 points from their 9 matches since then, including that 3-1 road defeat at the hands of Toronto. Again, it's wooden spoon winners last year, right? So Toronto, a bit of a different team this season, and Dallas certainly the same. Still no Velasco, right? Pomykal. Velasco going to be out till at least September, I think. Last I heard, Pomykal for the season. But like you mentioned, healthier as a whole. We didn't see Ilara Mendy last time, and we didn't see Ferreira. And if I recall correctly, that Ferreira absence was actually kind of a surprise that week, that like a midweek addition to the injury report.
Yes.
Ferreira, only 5 appearances so far in league play, just 2 starts. Came off the bench in the loss against Toronto, but then we're giving Houston shit for their Open Cup loss. We were almost able to do it to both of our in-state rivals because this Dallas team on Tuesday night took on Memphis 901 and played basically a first choice lineup. Ferreira was in there, Musa, Aramendi, Tafari, Paz. Like you can go look in the match preview article that we've got up on the northendpodcast.com. There is a link to their lineup graphic, and you can see that I do think it's similar to a team we would see or we will see on Saturday, but the majority of those guys go 90 minutes. I think Ferreira came out with 2 minutes to go, but Musa and Tafari and Aramendi playing 90 minutes on Tuesday. So just because a team is on short rest, of course, does not dictate the result of this Saturday's match. But I'm certainly not complaining that these guys went out there and played a legit match on Tuesday. Anything else for you on this side? They did emerge victorious. Rookie super draft pick Logan Farrington, 73rd minute winner from an assist from Jesus Ferreira. So, kind of maybe finding his form a little bit against the lesser team or team from a lesser league, rather. Anything else for you on the Dallas side of things?
I mean, I think they have some real decisions that they're going to be faced with in regard to what they're rolling out for this game, how they're going to approach it. And then like once the game gets rolling, how they're going to adjust if depending on the score. Like if we go up early on them, given the amount of minutes that these guys had to roll out there last night, and the fact that, you might not be, Ferrer's been back for a little while now, but like he still might not be at full fitness in regard to how fit he actually can be.
Right.
When we talk about, getting up for rivalry matches, being ready for these in-state opponents like that, it goes without saying that Ferreira has been up for these games versus Austin. They clearly mean something a little extra to him, which is something that we highlight from our side of the table. And, it's always scary to see him with the ball. I just think that, again, we're going to see the road strategy kind of in play here versus this Dallas club. And it's going to be tough to score on them. I know that. Tafari back there, I don't think that he's going to have anything to worry about in regard to his fitness levels and being able to roll him out there. But Iramendi, as you talked about, 34 years old, just coming off those 90 minutes there. So there's definitely some questions facing that side. I'll be interested to see what they roll out with their choice 11 if they go back to back with these two lineups here. But a dangerous team. And I know that Austin, coming off of that very solid performance, I guess I shouldn't say performance, very solid result.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it the other day because we were chatting about it and, had some comments online and everything, and saying that we were satisfied with the performance wasn't necessarily what I wanted to convey. I was satisfied with the result there. The performance definitely needs some sort of improvement, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. That has been addressed ad nauseum. So, it's going to be an interesting match. And I was just browsing some stats and statistics here, and the three bottom teams in regard to expected goals in MLS, all from Texas.
Yep. Yeah, I think I'm pretty much with you in terms of like seeing a very similar, that same very conservative defensive style here on the road. That doesn't mean I don't desire, like I think most fans do, a more aggressive offensive approach here this Saturday, especially with Dallas really kind of limping into this match, right? Like I think it's fair to say lacking confidence, and we know on short rest, like I want to be like, yeah, let's fucking put it on them, guys. Yeah. But like ultimately I expect that Austin is going to stick with the plan because the plan has worked, right? And that plan also might not line up with some fans' desired approach, right? Going after a win every time you hit the field. And I get that, but we've heard the stated goal from preseason was make the playoffs. We've heard along the way over the last month, even through this good run of results, that, right, we heard Coach Wolf say, like, we know who we are, and that's very important to us this season, understanding that we're not going to challenge for a supporter shield in all likelihood. And even after the recent run of results, like I think it was after the Houston match where he said, we're not LAFC, we're not Philadelphia. We want to average a point on the road, 2 at home. And again, like I totally get it. And I think the time for champagne football, right, for lack of a better term, is down the road. Maybe it's later this season, depending on what the summer looks like. But then, I've said 2025 is where I expect this team to be competitive for trophies, right? Whether you win one or not is a different story. So all that to just say, I'm expecting another game that is slow paced. We grind it out. But maybe not. I think regardless, the chances we do get on Saturday, you hope that there are a handful more than we've seen in some of these road matches. I just want, when Austin is on the ball, I want it to be more crisp in possession. I want a little bit more zip and zest with our positioning, with our service, right? Because I do think it's fair to say that was lacking a little bit in the Vancouver match, in those few chances that we had.
Absolutely.
And again, I think Dallas is more ripe for us to take advantage of their form or lack thereof than some of these teams we've faced recently, even going back to Houston and St. Louis. So anything else for you on that?
I mean, they're sitting on 10 goals right now in 10 matches, so they are not by any sort of the metric to say that they're an offensive juggernaut. This is not a team that has been able to score goals or even really manufacture a lot of chances. And that kind of applies to Austin on the road as well. But like, if it ain't broke, we don't need to fix it right now. It's just going to be capitalizing on the few chances that we are going to create in this matchup. And when they come about, making the most of them. You had Diego shot right at Takaoka last week, and that was a chance to score. A couple of plays, the crispness that you're talking about, being more decisive in the offensive third with the ball, is something that we're going to have to really, if you capitalize on that in this game, and you can sit back in your shell and be in that conservative defensive style, FC Dallas is going to have a hard time scoring on us. They're going to have a very, very difficult time scoring on us. You have the hottest goalkeeper in the net in the league right now. So again, we're going to walk into this matchup with the same approach, same mindset. Let them take some shots that aren't super dangerous, and we'll live with the results there. And, like you said, wanting to average a point on the road, 2 points at home, it's realistic. I know that I have the most unrealistic predictions of all of the Austin FC quote unquote pundits, because I predict a win every single time in these matchups. But it is good to be, I'm not sitting in the head coach's chair. So like, it's good to be realistic about what we want to accomplish with this season. And this strategy has worked for us right now. You see where we're sitting at in the table. We have outperformed almost all of our metrics on the offensive side of the ball. So some regression to the mean there could be coming. But again, this is a team that with FC Dallas, like, they're also not crisp in possession. And I just don't think that I don't think we gave enough credence to them being without Velasco, because it is clear that he is just a big cog in that offense and how they want to be able to score goals, and the dynamicism that he provides on that wing is just something that's really lacking right now. Like, Aramendi is a very defensive-minded player. He's obviously not the fastest guy at 34 years old, coming over with a very storied career. So, if we can be crisp in our possession, I think they're going to allow us to have a little more possession than these other teams have allowed us to have on the road. Those are the keys to the game for me. And then it comes down to what we're rolling out with our 11 in regard, like, is this Rigoni's job again? I can't really tell. The last matchup with Owen off the bench left me a bit confused. It left me a bit perplexed, because I still maintain that he is 100% our best option in that position.
Yeah, and obviously I don't disagree with you. Like I said last week, headed into the Vancouver match, I'm totally fine at this point with Rigoni getting that start because of what Owen can bring off the bench and inserting him into various roles. But I'm with you. I still lean towards, I want to see him out there and starting opposite of Hader Obrian. But we found success with both of those guys. And of course, the success is relative, right, to what your game model looks like especially in these road matches. But one thing, and I want to go back, I think great point by you about us not giving enough credence to the Velasco absence this season as a whole, or even in that first match when they came through Austin back in late March. I think that's spot on by you, man, because they're never the most high flying offense, or at least since we've been paying attention to them. But this is by far the worst I've seen this Dallas team look in 3+ seasons of really being, being a super degen for this league. But for us, dude, like, not just the lineup. I'm going to knock on all the wood real quick that I have inside of me here. We could have an empty injury report this weekend. Yeah, that's when have we ever had that?
2022.
I mean, coming into the opener in 23 maybe, but it took 7 minutes till Julio went down.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
I can't recall that either, but that is exciting.
Yeah, I mean, again, the roster is not complete, right? But it's just, we just haven't seen it. So I'm interested to see what that looks like, right? We expect the full bench once again, which is great. Again, it's baby steps, right? And the fact that this team is where they are in the standings here, 11 matches in, right? We will be over the 1/3 mark of the season after this match is completed. the fact that now we are the healthiest we've ever been, basically, it's in recent memory. It's just, again, it's just more good vibes.
Absolutely.
I think for lack of a better term. So in terms of that starting lineup, I think we go back. The only question mark for me really is that wing with Owen and Emmy. And I know some folks would want to throw Ethan or even CJ's name into that mix. I still think it's just between those first two in terms of what the coaching staff is thinking here. I think you get Danny back in there for the Punisher. And then I don't think you really can make a change here, nor do I expect one, considering I think Leo's fitness is probably not to a point where he's overtaking Julio or Brendan Yama, as it were. But I do think in the games to come, especially because we've got 6 this month, right? I don't remember what the number was I texted you yesterday. I think it was like starting on Saturday, we have 6 matches in 22 days or something like that.
Maybe 20.
I'm not. Yeah, something like it's very, very condensed. By far the most we've seen. We've had a week off between almost all of our matches so far this season. So I'm not surprised if this time next week we're wondering if we get a change on that back line, if only for rotation. In those matches we have next week, because we've got Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday coming up. So anything else for you on us on the lineup? And if not, tell me how much Austin FC is winning by this Saturday in Frisco for the first time ever.
It's a good problem to have with Leo coming back for sure. But I do not want to tinker with that center back pairing right now. I think if you just look at the consistency game in and game out, that has arguably been the best 1-2 field combination that we've had out there. Like they have been solid. They haven't shown any real signs of wear and tear or slowing down. Heinz Ike has been absolutely fantastic in his time. So, with Leo, I hope we can slowly get him rolled back in, slowly acclimated back into where he wants to be, his fitness levels. I don't know if, I just don't know if he's injury prone or we've rushed him a few times and tried to get him back faster than he was ready and he dinged something else up or he tweaked something else, somewhere else. And it's just difficult to see the coaching staff going away from that center back position. And then you have, Hedges as well in that conversation, who has put in some good shifts, has a goal. So, it's a good problem to have. I'm interested to see how the coaching staff moves forward with that one. In regard to the score prediction here, I think it's going to be a 1-0 Austin win. I think both teams are going to struggle to score. I think the most important part about that prediction is when that goal actually comes, because I think that's going to make the first real question for each of these managers. Because if you go down in this game, it's are you willing to come out of what you're comfortable, of where you've been comfortable, defensively, conservative? Are you willing to come out of that and try to stretch this game? If you're not, then, I can't see another team just being able to just go run up the field on somebody and be dominating in possession and creating a lot of really big chances and scoring goals. If you're on the Austin side, we've seen a reluctancy to push these guys out to get a little more stretch, because we are content with averaging this point on the road. So I don't know when that goal is going to come. I think in a matchup like this, in this league, a rivalry game, it comes late. It's going to be two teams once again filling each other out. As you mentioned, Dallas really not at the top of their form, not a whole lot of consistency. I think they're going to need some time to figure out this game, get adjusted. It's obviously going to be contentious in regard to the fans that we have there, the atmosphere in that shitty stadium. So it's going to be fun, man. These rivalry matches have been a blast. And, we've been running Copa Tejas now for some time, and I expect that to continue with just another ugly, in the mud road game where we're going to generate more chances against this team than we have against the much more quality opponents on the road that we have faced, your Vancouvers. I know their record is not that great, but Seattle is still a more talented team than this Dallas team. So I think we're going to be able to create some chances here more than we have, and we're going to have to capitalize on one. And it's going to be a late goal, and we get the 1-0 win. We walk out of there feeling good.
For the 5th time in the last month, I like your prediction more than mine. I'm not going back with the elbow here, E. I've got 1-1 draw. But I will sprinkle a little bit of good vibes, go the extra mile here, because we're going to get a Hader Obrian revenge goal in Frisco on Saturday. And it's double revenge because he had that one called back against Frisco back in March. So double revenge goal for Hader Obrian, 1-1 draw. But we will certainly take 3 points. And 3 points would put Austin FC on the precipice of clinching Copa Tejas in the middle of May. So again, I'm cheering for 3 points, but I've got a 1-1 draw. 1-0 victory for E. E, anything else for you on that game before we move on?
Let's get it, man. It's an exciting week. Everyone who goes and attends, stay hydrated with beer.
Yeah. Well, a couple pieces of Austin FC news, and this first piece is like the actual news, and we can get into it's like half nonsense here in a moment. But and I believe this was first caught by Adam Ben Laziz, and then kind of amplified by our buddies over at We Are Austin TV. And that is that Diego Rubio has been included in the Chilean preliminary roster for Copa America, which kicks off next month here in the States. I don't like this, even as a possibility. Like I've heard multiple people give out different numbers of like what the actual squad numbers will be once those teams are finalized. So I've seen some people say he probably won't make it. He's on the fringe of it. I've seen other people say or suggest, I haven't looked it up for myself, that those rosters have expanded for the tournament this year and like he's probably going to make it. All in all, this tournament is from June 20th to July 14th this season. And I think you probably leave a week or so before because you get into training with your national team, right? Getting ready for the group stage there. If we take a look at the Austin FC schedule in June, I know we've got our first break coming up between our road match at RSL on the 1st of June and a road match at Colorado on the 15th. So potentially missing not just Diego Rubio, but we know Julio Cascante and Danny Pereira are very likely to be with their respective national teams as well. So potentially without those guys starting in Colorado on the 15th, then we're home for LAFC that Wednesday, the 19th. Then we're on the road at Minnesota that next Saturday. And then on the 29th, road Kansas City. So that is going to be a very trying stretch, especially if we lose Rubio in addition to Julio and Danny. And if Diego rather makes that roster and leaves before that Colorado game, we deprive him of the revenge spot in Colorado on the 15th. So my head is spinning with all of the possibilities, all the potential absences during that stretch of the season. I imagine we would get all of our guys back for a July 7th or a July 6th match, rather, home hosting NYCFC. Because at that point, you're probably into the quarters, maybe even the semis of Copa America. And respect to all those countries, probably not making it that far in the tournament this summer. But just something to look forward to. I mean, congrats to Diego for the preliminary roster. And if he makes it, obviously we're thrilled for him. But when it comes to our favorite team, maybe not the best news.
Man, that nobody on the injury report, that sure lasted long, felt good.
Hey, we got a month and a half till then. We got a lot of games between now and then.
Unselfishly, obviously, very happy for Diego. Must be just an incredible feeling to be able to represent your country. Selfishly, yeah, I hope that's not the case. So, yeah, we can leave it at that. I think you summed that up pretty well there.
And then that other piece of Austin FC news, Sportico every year comes out with their rankings of the most valuable soccer clubs in the world. And of course, last year when we were looking at this, we were kind of remarking on how many MLS teams are in this top 50. And it's because, number one, the like metrics that they use to derive these rankings, they take some liberties, right? Yeah. Ultimately, this is all made up. But from their estimates here, again, the not having Pro-Rel in MLS raises the floor greatly of the MLS franchises. But then you look, and LAFC, Atlanta United, Inter Miami, LA Galaxy, New York City, then Austin FC, 21st globally, estimated value of $800 million. They did report the revenue for Austin FC last year at $90 million, which is above clubs like NYCFC, like Seattle Sounders. And again, ultimately, this means nothing, but we can make fun of Houston for being 50th or FC Dallas for not being ranked, right? But I think ultimately what I like about this, and again, even if this is just vibes, the fact that the vibes are we are up there with the coastal elite clubs in this league, the clubs that the names you wouldn't believe look at first when they're thinking about a move to MLS. We are right there with Inter Miami. We know about their profile, right? Atlanta United. We know about their profile, former MLS Cup champions, right? And Seattle Sounders. We don't need to go into that. So ultimately, if they're going to put out a list like this and we're going to pay it any mind, I'd rather us be as high as possible. And this is an 11-spot jump for Austin FC from last year's rankings. So I like to see it.
Wow. An 11-spot jump, even with the season we had last year. That's actually really impressive. It's just fun to see these names, mixed in with all these other clubs that are household names throughout the world. It's just great to see MLS being represented here. And I'll always take finishing ahead of Houston and Dallas and almost any rankings that you can put out there that are positive. So, that's cool, man. It's just cool to see those MLS teams in there, and we've talked about this league trying to do some things in regards to transparency and getting bigger and expanding. And you've seen some big, you see the names now. We got the GOAT. So, I mean, it's just, it's a process and we're building this thing, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. Happy to have a club to root for. That's on this list as well.
I'm with you. We can move on from the Austin FC news here and just real quick check in on
the best keeper in the world.
Damian Loss tonight, in a matter of hours, about 2 hours from when we are recording right now, 9:30 p.m. Central on Wednesday. Louisville City FC at Seattle Sounders, round of 32 in the U.S. Open Cup. I told you we had to get this podcast recorded so I could watch Damian tonight. And if he's not in the starting lineup, I say we grab our pitchforks and we head to Louisville and meet them at the airport.
I'd like to check this pitchfork, please. Yeah, dude. We had that mysterious anonymous man pop up on Reddit there with his prediction for Damian, and shit has been weird since that has happened. So yes, I definitely hope to see him in the starting lineup. I too would like to be tuned into that game. Will be tuned into that game. Have the NBA playoffs running side by side and everything. But a good, just a nice little. It's a little warm up. It's a little scrimmage here for the match on Saturday, just to get the blood pumping a little more. So definitely hope to see D, and see him against this level of competition. That is what we've been waiting to see, so that is really exciting, and definitely hope he's in net. Let's go get this done, man.
Yeah. And I hope to see a first choice Seattle lineup too, because I want to see him against, like you said, against that competition. So good luck to Damian. Good luck to Louisville. We will be watching, and let's jump into a short preview for Austin FC2 in action on Sunday, 6 p.m. Central, out in St. Louis. So the second meeting between FC2 and St. Louis City 2 this season. Of course, City 2 dealt us a 1-0 loss at the Performance Center back last month on April 12th. That game was fairly even statistically. Austin FC2 controlled possession in a massive way, 68% possession in that game. Some of that tilted even further in Austin's favor after that 66-minute goal by Brendan McSorley. And in terms of those guys for City 2, who you should be watching, McSorley has started all 7 matches for City 2 this year. He is tied with Joyner and Klein in terms of leading scorers for that team, all 3 of those gentlemen with 2 goals. If you take a look at the table, St. Louis City 2 currently sitting in 4th in the Western Conference in MLS Next Pro, 15 points from their 7 matches. They have 10 goals scored, only 6 against, of course, Austin FC2 with a game in hand, but just 8 points from their 6 matches and 6 goals scored with 7 conceded. So I expect this one to be another competitive match. And in terms of what I think we see for an 11, I see no reason, barring injury that we, of course, don't have reported to us, that we don't run out the same 11 that we've put out there the last 2 matches with Pinot back up top. Like, I think it's been looking a little bit better, right? In the attack. The defense has continued to be solid. 7 goals against in 6 matches is perfectly fine. And I'm just waiting for the day that at least one of the Garcias shows back up on the bench. It really feels like to me like Anthony Garcia is no longer here after seeing him in the opener and never again. So I don't know. And I want to, are we going to have more than 4 field players available off the bench?
Yeah, right.
That was a little bit of a head scratcher as well. So any thoughts for you headed into Sunday evening for FC2?
I would like to see that same 11 that we've been rolling out. I've been preaching this whole season with this club and the limited amount of time. I want to be fair to them and be like, I have a limited amount of time watching them, not as much as I had last year for sure. So I don't want to make a bunch of overgeneralizations or rash kind of comments about this team. But from what I've seen, they just are looking for some identity right now. And that's what I've been talking about with this team. And fortunately, you can rely on defense consistently to be where you can hang your hat. And the schemes that Utley has there with Austin FC2 are very sound in their defensive principles. This is a team that consistently is in position. It's just that we haven't really been able to find the groove. We haven't been able to find the leadership, and we've been experimenting with these lineups, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. But Sebas up front at the 9 just gives us the most firepower, in my opinion, and I don't even think it's really that close. You've seen Jimmy knocking on the door so many times now. Eventually, he's going to bust through that door. I expect CJ, obviously, to be up with the big boys. But it is interesting to think about the fact that we only had 4 field players on that bench there and what was going on with that. And the MIA status of those Garcia dudes is an actual real concern at this point. I don't know what's going on there, but I have liked what I've seen out of Bonachera, and I think that that's something that we can keep building on there. But this is a good St. Louis team. This is a good club. They found their way to score in that last game versus us in regards to how that game played out, our possession style, and we outshot them as well. But they were able to put one behind Alstrup there. So it's going to be another solid match. And I hope these boys are ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, City too, undefeated in their last 6 matches, and they've won 4 of their last 5. So after stumbling a little bit out of the gates, extremely hot to start.
They're hot right now.
Man, it feels like maybe FCito has lower numbers than the first team at this point, which is not something I thought I'd be saying.
Yeah.
But it's just something to monitor heading into Sunday. So unless you've got anything else to add here, how much is FCito winning by on the road on Sunday?
That's a good question. I think I'm going to go ahead and say that this team, man, it's just – with Sebas up front, I want to be we can score some goals here, we've had these past couple matches where we've been generating good chances. We had remind me who that team was who scored that super late one with that left-footed banger.
The Town?
Yeah, or Ventura. Was it the Town or Ventura?
You might be right. It was Ventura. Yeah.
So
the 94th.
And that was a game we absolutely should have got 3 points out of. So, bouncing back from some difficult matchups here, I'm going to go ahead and say 2-1. I still don't, I still think the book is yet to be written with Alstrup. I think he's got a lot of time left, and I think he's got a lot more to prove. And I think he'll come up with some big saves here to keep this a 2-1 win for Austin.
Nice. I like it. I think Alstrup has been average at worst since those first 2 matches, right? The first league match and then the Open Cup with a couple blunders in there. I think he's really, really responded well. And you can see that in the numbers, right? And it helps to have Sally Maz and Tony Gomez in front of you. Those guys have been staunch as well. I'm going to go 1-0. I'm going to go 1-0 victory here on the road. We get them back in a similar style to how they came and stole 3 points at our home. We will return the favor. And we don't care how you get it done, boys. 3 points. We'll be cheering for you. And let's close it out, E, with the nonsense where, you said that this the best ball hasn't been fun. And it hasn't been. But last week sure was. North End Podcast. Second win on the season. 63 points. I believe that sets a new season high among all of the teams here. I can confirm that among the standings as I go through. Yeah, 63 points. 4 higher, I believe, at a quick glance here. 4 higher than the next highest weekly score on the season. So, and look, man, we get a little bit healthy and you start to feel the wrath of this fully operational battle station. We also had 94 total points scored, which is the highest. Because again, there's positional constraints with best ball, so not all of your points that you score actually count every week. But 94 total points with no De La Vega, no Elliott, no Blake. 94 points is the most any team in the history of the Verde Best Ball League going back to 2023 has scored in a single week. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm trying to get excited.
My hopes there's up. A reason I didn't pull up the standings on the screen.
Yeah. We got a ways to go. I think I texted you after you sent me those figures. It's like, oh shit, that's awesome. Only got to do that about 8 more times, and then we'll be rolling again. But it's always good when we're not scoring fucking 20 points. So this league is all about fun, and it's fun when you set some records here. But you saw those stacks start to pay off, and that's what we were really banking on when we drafted our club. And we've had some unfortunate luck with the injuries that have piled up, the absolutely terrible keeper play that we have had to endure. But again, we've been saying it for a while. It's a long season. We got a ways to go. An important transfer window going to be coming up shortly, and we'll deal with what we have to deal with then. But just for now, for this week, suck it, guys.
Yeah, suck it, everyone. And even 63 points was not enough to jump Texas Ring of Fire. They remain in 5th. So even after that,
yeah,
bang, North End Podcast from downtown, and the lead is cut to 38. Now we're only down by 8 now. But man, I not want to get the spoon at the end of the year. So we're 8 points back of Texas Ring of Fire, and then a large gap between us two and the rest of the field here. Verde Pendant with 42 points. Leapfrogs Verde all day for first. They have a 3-point lead now on the field. Moon Tower Soccer with 58 themselves, the 3rd highest score this season for any team in a single week. They are now just 16 points back of the lead themselves, and just 36 for We Are Austin. So they're solidly in 4th position right now out of our table of 6. But again, man, we put together a couple more of those weeks, just those record-setting weeks.
Yeah, just no biggie.
And we'll be fine. So looking forward to another week of best ball. We certainly spend more time on that when we do well. And let's talk about the bets. Week 11, not great, not terrible. We lost exactly 1 unit even, on the week, which brings us to negative 1.34 units on the season, which again, not terrible. Have a good week. We get back in the black. Some highlights from last week. We had a unit on Inter Miami to win at minus 125, but we had a half unit on Miami to win and over 3.5 goals scored in the match. That was a half unit at plus 270. Only safe. 7 goals.
Yeah,
in that match. But then LAFC gets walloped on the road by San Jose. Dallas loses to Toronto. Tough breaks there. We did hit Dante Van Zier plus 300 to score. In that one, we got both Forsberg and Lucho Acosta to give assists in their matches, but ultimately lose a unit on the week, minus 1.34. So we hold our heads high, headed into week 12 here, and some of the games we are looking at. Look, man, Montreal is hurting right now. I believe they just fired either their sporting director or their club president, something like that. A lot of turmoil there for Montreal. So Miami coming to town. Again, we won't finalize our picks until the article is posted on Friday evening after the official injury report, but minus 110 for Miami against Montreal right now. They could be playing on the moon. I'm taking Miami.
Yeah, can't really argue with that one. When we first took a look at this board here, something usually catches my eye, and it was Nashville this week. Get them at plus 265 in Charlotte. We saw a bit of that firepower that they have last week with Surge and Mukhtar, and they're getting a little better. Zimmerman back in there, just a huge component of their team and the success that they've had recently. So I like them at plus 265. Obviously, once again, wait till till more news comes out, but that one caught my eye right away.
Yeah, I know you and I were both discussing LA Galaxy should get Ricky Pooch back this week from his yellow card suspension. We don't have any news on Dejan Joveljic yet, but if he is upgraded to questionable even, I think that would give us even more, an extra cookie to go ahead and take Galaxy minus 105. Hosting RSL, though, so this is a match that I think after our match on Saturday against Dallas, this is a 9:30 kick. We might have this one on the screen as well. But again, want to get that injury report on Friday. A couple goal props are already posted in tandem with our Nashville pick, considering both Surge and Mukhtar both listed at plus 260 to score this weekend. I know I called the Hodder Obrian goal, and we may put a unit on him to score against Dallas, but Seba plus 300. I said it a couple weeks ago. If he's plus 300 in any game, I'm probably going to take it. And then Amal Pellegrino, our boy, off the schneid last week with a goal, his second of the year, and he's at plus 280 to score this weekend. So maybe we're going back to Amal.
Hey, what's the name of the guy they just got back? The new 10.
They just signed Hernan Lopez is their new DP number 10. Club record signing.
Yes, didn't mean to say back, but they got him. He's obviously going to help out their offense quite a bit. Amal, like you said, off the schneid. You can't argue with the talent. You can't argue with the pedigree that he brings in, and you have to think sooner rather than later that he would really be breaking out here. So I can't argue with that, and it plays into the hands of good best ball weeks. So that's a double win for us if it comes to fruition. So yeah, man, keep an eye out for that the bets article, and you'll see everything that we're thinking and locking in here.
Yeah, man. When you really stack it up, best ball and the bets, you're setting up for either a weekend of elation or just total dejection on Saturday night, especially depending on how our actual team fares up in Frisco.
As long as the green team wins. As long as the Verde team wins, whatever. I
think we're on record, right, of recounting. I think when we beat Houston, right? We thinking the bets are going terribly. Don't give a shit. Real team got 3 points, and that's how we are going to feel this Saturday as well. Anything else for you before we get out of here on episode 141?
Hey, enjoy the rest of the week, y'all. I'm super excited for this game. I know everyone is. Let's do this. We run Texas here, baby. This is what we do. Come on.
Couldn't have said it better myself. The only other thing I have to add, before we end the episode is DEE-TROIT! Enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. We will see you back here on Sunday, recapping Austin FC's matchup at FC Dallas, recapping Austin FC 2's match against City 2, previewing Austin FC's home match against the Houston Dynamo. The schedule is picking up here in the month of May, and so are we. We will see you back here on Sunday. Until then, he's E, and I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.